So I'm going to walk us through. And by the way, I wish it was that easy for all of us to just be like, bye, it's over. We're broken up, done. Gosh,
Right.
I wish it was that easy because it's not been like that for me. In some relationships, but most of the time I'm like, why?
Hey, welcome to the Dating Detox Show, your place to have some real conversations about the real stuff that happens in dating and actually maybe some practical input that might actually work in a relationship. I'm Eric Wooten, and with me as always is Megan Toma. How you doing, Megan?
I'm great. I'm excited for today's talk. It's going to be juicy.
I am too, because I'm
Hmm.
the um here's my tendency. I think I'm realizing more and more, and some of it may be personality, some of it may be I'm an army brat, and so growing up, we moved every 3 to 4 years, and so I think I got comfortable with. I'd come into a new place. I generally make friends easy. I played sports, so it was easy to find kind of a new group wherever you went. But then you knew 3 years from now, I'm leaving you
Yeah.
and I'll probably never talk to you again. And so I think as I get older, I'm realizing it's easy for me to be like out of sight, out of mind with my kids.
Hmm.
If I'm on vacation, I don't have kids. My wife's like, "Oh, I hope they're having a good time." I'm like, "Who cares? I don't have kids when I'm on vacation." And now that my
Oh,
kids are like grown and moved out, I'm kind of like, cool, bye. And
bye.
sometimes they'll call and be like, you don't call very often. And I think I'm realizing my tendency is just, hey, if I'm not in your proximity and around you regularly, I don't
Hmm.
think about you a whole lot because I'm kind of living in the now. So today what we're going to talk about is what to do after a breakup. And I say all that to say my tendency is just like, this is I'm on, and like, you don't exist anymore. I'm good. Bye. We broke up. Let's move on. But that's not always easy. That may not always be the healthiest and best approach to being able to show up in the next relationship in a healthy way. And so
Hmm.
you have some tips for us on what we should be doing after a breakup.
Yes. So I'm going to walk us through. And by the way, I wish it was that easy for all of us to just be like, bye, it's over. We're broken up, done. Gosh,
Right.
I wish it was that easy because it's not been like that for me. In some relationships, but most of the time I'm like, why? So we're going to talk about that. If you are in the midst or going through a breakup, I'm going to give 5 tips on really kind of how to get over a breakup. And then at the end, I am going to do something a little maybe controversial, which is I am going to share a way that I believe you could potentially get back together with someone if you feel like maybe you held back in the relationship, you didn't really tell the person how you felt about them, and you're sort of sitting with that regret. Like, I wish they would have known how I really felt about them. I am going to share that because there are situations, it's not
Huh.
normally the case. It's sometimes the case that people break up and get back together.
Yeah. No, I'm interested to hear those because I
Yeah,
my general rule, and this doesn't apply all the time, is kind of like they're an ex for a reason.
right,
So why are we trying to get back with exes? But I can
right.
see maybe where you're going, which is I contributed a lot to the ending of this relationship by not doing some things that would have been helpful in the relationship. And so
Yeah.
maybe so that'll be interesting. Okay,
Yes.
so we'll start first with there's been a breakup,
Yes.
and what we don't want to do is the old over under method, right? The best way to get over
No,
somebody is to get under somebody else,
no,
kind of stuff, right? We don't
it
just
doesn't
want
work.
to go fill the pain and the loss with the
Mhm.
new relationship so we don't have to think about it. Instead of that, you've got some steps or tips.
Yes. Okay. So the first tip is the one that everyone hates the most. It's the hardest one to do. The first step is the no contact rule. No contact with your ex. No phone calls, emails, text messages, Instagram story replies, nada. We prolong our healing process when we do this to ourselves. And we lie to ourselves thinking we can be friends with our ex immediately. And my go-to for that when I have a client or friend that's like, no, I really think, we're gonna break up. We've dated for like, 5 years, talked about getting married, all these things, but tomorrow I think we can be friends. Okay. My thing that I say to that is if you are okay hearing about your ex going out on a date with someone new, or even you could meet them for dinner or coffee or something, then you're ready to be friends. Because a friend can do that. If you're not ready to do that, you can't. It's just unrealistic. What are your thoughts
Yeah.
on that?
So you don't like the that we keep reaching out and stopping by, or I need something, or I need, yeah,
Yeah.
just keep
Yeah.
dragging this. That's when you get those breakup, makeup, breakup, makeup. But we didn't really identify or qualify or define our
Mhm.
reconnection. We just
Right.
kind of keep dipping back in.
Yeah. And it's hard. Breakups are like a death. I mean, it's awful. You go,
Sure.
for however long you dated, speaking to this person probably every day to nothing. It's like this cold chill to the neck. It feels terrible. And like you said earlier, I mean, they're an ex for a reason. It's you've chosen to break up. Whether it was amicable or he or she broke up with you or vice versa, it's still a breakup. So part of honoring that process and getting over the breakup is no contact. So that's number one.
And it's probably
Number
harder when they've
mhm,
broken up with you, right?
so much
When
harder.
when it wasn't my idea,
Yeah.
there's that still need for, closure, whatever you want to call it. So,
But there's even some science behind this, which I'm going to get to at the end. Like, if you really wanted someone back, there's actually a method to this madness of no contact, which I'll get to. This is Dr. Pat Allen's theory, but I'll go on to the tips of getting over a breakup. Two
all right.
is go on an ex detox. So you want to purge all the physical reminders of your ex. And if you can't throw things away, like, t-shirts or, deleting, I've had to delete albums on Spotify, like anything that reminds me of my ex, I just want to purge it and get rid of it. If you can't throw certain things away, put it in a box and put it at a friend's house or somewhere where you're not seeing it, like hide it way in the back of your closet. Um, and this is hard as well, but social media has made it a little easier. If you don't want to unfollow them on social media, silence them. You do not need any reminders of them consistently popping up throughout your day. We really want to detox your system from your ex. So, what are your thoughts on that?
I like that. I was just when I was thinking about that, I was like, darn the Facebook memories that pop up. Like,
I
3
know.
years ago on this day, I'm like, can you can you imagine
You
if
can
you've been
edit
like
those.
Oh, can you? Okay, I
Now
didn't
you
know because I
can.
don't I
Yes.
don't mess with the back end of all that stuff. I just always see, 10 years ago on this date, and I'm like, can I imagine if I had, because I by the time Facebook came out, I'm already married, right? So I don't have like I can imagine if I had like a 10-year dating experience on Facebook with pictures that would
Mhm.
constantly remind myself, be like, this is killing me. So
Not fun. It is not. There is thank God now. I guess there was enough complaints, but there is a way. It's like, stop showing memories with this person. I've had to do that. I've had to do that because I take these steps seriously.
I love it. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's good. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Number three is to get out of fantasy land. We tend to only remember the good things after a breakup. Isn't that so interesting? We go through plenty of, like, arguments or fights and turmoil. Like, you're in a relationship, there's going to be ups and downs. But at a breakup, it's like they were everything I ever wanted. They were this perfect human being, and I can't believe I've lost them. We only remember the good things. And you're in fantasy land. So, what I
Right.
would encourage anyone to do that's listening to this and going through this is to make a list. And don't make this list when you're in this, really angry state, let's say, but from a more neutral place, because we're not trying to bash your ex. We're just trying to look at the facts. Make a list of what didn't work in the relationship. Make a list of the disagreements that you had or the pain points that were there for you, or, yeah, which is what didn't work. Again, it's not about making them wrong. It's about shedding some light on things that led to this. If things were all great, you wouldn't be going through a breakup right now. There were unfortunate things or painful things or hard things or things that didn't work and were out of alignment that happened in the relationship to get to this point. So put it on paper so that when those thoughts keep ruminating in your head and cycling around saying, like, oh my gosh, why is this happening? This is the greatest person ever. You have something tangible to go back to and remind yourself. You can even ask friends, like, please remind me when I start spiraling and getting upset. of why this was the choice, right?
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. No, I think
Yeah.
that's good for sure.
Yeah. And the fourth one is schedule time to grieve. Okay, so why I think this is so brilliant, and I learned this from my mentor, Christine Hassler. Um, Normally, when we're going through a breakup, we just get lost in the emotions of feeling sad, of feeling angry, of feeling, regret, all these things that come up. And it can kind of consume us and take over our lives. It's hard to move forward when we are just constantly thinking about and feeling sad and sorry for ourselves. So instead of doing all that, schedule 15 minutes in the morning, 15 minutes at night to grieve, so that during the day when all the thoughts are coming up and all the feelings are rising and you're trying to drive to work or you're about to get ready for a meeting or you're about to hop on a call, whatever it is, okay, it's here, but I will deal with this tonight during my 15 minutes. And you set that timer, and when the timer's up, you're done. Do something else
Mhm.
that fills your cup, put on a funny TV show, go take a long walk, whatever that is for you is fine. But it's scheduled time to process your emotions that are very, valid, but not letting it overwhelm you and consume you. So, what do you think about that one?
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, it's whether you broke up with them or they broke up with you, loss is loss is loss. And
Yeah.
loss requires grieving. And if you don't take the time to grieve, grief will catch up with you at some point. It's grief is not one of those things that you can decide to sidestep and just not deal with. It will catch up at some point. And
Yeah.
you see that all the time on bigger levels, right? We're talking about the loss of a relationship, but some people actually lose a spouse or a loved one or a parent or a sibling or a child to death. And oftentimes
Hmm.
if those people don't grieve, I've seen this a lot, especially in kind of the Christian world, because I also believe that God uses the things we go through to help others. Like whatever you've been through in life, if you are open to God using you, people will pour into your life. I remember we started going
Hmm.
through infertility stuff, and then next thing you know, it's like everybody and their mom is dealing with it that we come across,
Yeah.
right? But what happens with a lot of people is you have loss, that stuff starts happening, and you kind of go right into help other mode, and you found
Yeah.
a purpose in this loss, and you never actually grieve. And then those people I often see, a year, 2 years, 3 years later, hit a wall
Yeah.
where it's like all of that loss finally hits them. So yeah,
Yeah.
we're not talking about actual death, but the death of a relationship
Relationship.
is loss and requires us to take some time to grieve it and actually feel it and hurt
Yeah.
and cry and be upset, and that stuff's all normal and part of the
Yeah.
process. So
Yeah, you
yeah.
can't bypass it. The only way out is through. And there's nothing wrong with releasing that. I think that's one of the only ways that we heal. But this is a way too that we don't just get lost in it and let it just consume us, because breakups are
Yeah,
hard and sometimes they'll really take it out of us if we don't kind of have a plan for it.
for sure.
So the last piece here, how to really get over a breakup, is to write a completion letter. And let me be
Okay.
very clear. This is a letter that you do not send to your ex. This one you do not send. This is for you. And I'm actually going to read these prompts to you. So
Okay.
this would be just sitting down when you have a minute and it feels like the right time to write a completion letter, and you would say, dear so and so, I'm saying goodbye because, or I'm letting you go because, and write it out. I forgive you for, I forgive myself for, I learned from you, and thank you for. So I can give that to you so we can put it in the show notes too. But
Yeah.
this is a really beautiful process to kind of, it's a way to, it's a kind of a final step of letting go of your ex and also getting a glimpse of some of the lessons, because there's always going to be lessons. There's always opportunities for deeper healing and growth through a relationship. It's one of the prime ripest times, I think, for a lot of healing to take place.
Hmm.
And we also don't want to, do the spiritual bypass thing where we, navigate away from our grieving and just look at, well, this was a good thing and here's what I got from it. This is the final
Right.
step, right? So, but it's a beautiful step to get a glimpse of some of the gifts that came out of the relationship. And I do believe, I mean, most relationships, have an ending. We all think that all of our romantic relationships are supposed to be the one forever. And there's only one of those. So
Right.
typically, not always. I mean, people remarry, but right, like these people come in for lessons and for growing and for healing and for, it's kind of a journey mate in a way. So that's the final step of how to get over a breakup.
Yeah, no, I think those are good. I've always just to keep it simple for me with people, I've always kind of had this three word framework for after a breakup, right? Which is review, renew, and then refuel has kind of been for me the three stages. And I think the stuff you had in, review, I just some of the closure letter, some of that, you
Mm,
got to dig up the past when a relationship ends and ask yourself some of those questions, right? What faulty beliefs did I enter that relationship with? What
yeah,
areas of brokenness and insecurity did I not address, but we're hoping the relationship was going to fix? Or what part of the failure do I need to own? And so I think that like we need some review time, which again, whether that happens before the grieving or after is irrelevant to me. Some people just need to hurt for a while. Some people can, review and the renew for me is that grieving process, right?
yeah,
I got to get my mind right and heal and do. And then I think the third stage for me, the refuel is like, I got to fill up my life again.
yes,
I want to have a full life. I want to be content. I want to be at the place where when I try to step into another relationship, that person needs to fit with my already full life as opposed to, I've grieved, but I'm super empty. And now I need to go find somebody to fill my emptiness. And so for me, those are kind of the stages: review
yeah,
what happened, renew yourself, heal, grieve, therapy if you need it, whatever comes, and then get full again, man. Fill yourself back up so that you've got the life that you
yes,
ultimately want, and you're not looking for a relationship to fulfill those things. So yeah, I think that
yes,
your 5 steps encompass all of that for me as well.
yeah, for sure.
All right, so
Okay.
now I'm curious. I want to hear when
Yeah.
does it make sense to, because so many
Mm,
times, again, you know me, and if you've watched this show long enough or listened to us long enough, my tendency is to lean towards, oh, you're done, move on,
yep.
next kind of thing. And so I'm like, they're X, there's a reason they're X, don't go back to it. But I have heard stories of people that broke up, evaluated some things, reconnected, and built a
Yes.
great relationship. So I don't want to say that should never happen, but I am curious as to how
Hmm.
how would I know if I'm sitting here and I've broken
Yeah.
up and I'm wondering, because a lot of people are just, the breakup doesn't sever the emotional attachment,
Right.
right? It's not like we broke up and now I no longer feel anything. So that,
If only it was
how do
that
I
easy.
know
Yeah.
if it's an unhealthy emotional attachment just pulling me back up, or you know what, it may make sense to review.
Yeah. Whew, I feel like that could be a whole episode on its own. But I will say, typically, when we have this really overwhelming feeling of regret that we didn't fully show this person how we really felt about them. And I see it a lot in my male clients and some female clients too, that they weren't really vulnerable. Like they never said, I love you, and they were in love with the person, or, they never said that they wanted this like deeper, level of commitment, but that is what they really wanted. They were scared to open their hearts fully. And then the person, doesn't feel it from them. So they sever the relationship, and the other person is left just kind of kicking themselves like, gosh, I wish I would have opened up more. I wish I would have shared my heart. I wish they would know how I really felt about them. So, and this is nuanced. And again, like I said, we could do a whole show on this
Is
probably, but
this before you jump into it, is this normally the person who was broken up with
yeah.
evaluating and going, I think the reason they ended it with me was because I held back? Or is it the person who did broke up but then turned around and went, why did I do that? Or is it
Well,
mixed?
the truth is it's either way. And that's why it's so
Okay.
tricky because, and this isn't always the case, but for whatever reason, I've seen it a lot with men and they're the one that ended things because they were scared of commitment or they had some other fears that they hadn't shared. And then they're like, dang it, I really want to be with this woman. It's kind of like you don't know what you have until it's gone.
Sure.
So I see that a lot. And then I see women, they get broken up with, and yet they're left stuck kind of feeling like I never really opened up my heart to this man. So I have regret about that. I never told
Gotcha.
him how I really felt. He never really got in to see inside my heart. So this is Dr. Pat Allen's work. And if you're not familiar with her, I think she's 90 now. She's been on Oprah, like, I think 4 or 5 times. She's written a lot of books, and she has studied relationships for years. And I find her hilarious and fascinating. You can find her stuff on iTunes. So, but she talks about the psychology behind a breakup. Whenever we're going through a breakup, the science says, or the research says, it typically takes 8 weeks, 8 weeks for someone to think and feel and think and feel and kind of marinate over the decision. So, like we talked about in the beginning, truly, truly, truly no contact for 8 weeks. If you're someone that is either on the receiving end or the giving end of the breakup, and you're starting to feel like, whoa, I think I made a mistake, or I really want this person back, you still want to wait 8 weeks to think and feel through that decision and give the other person 8 weeks to think and feel through that decision. So that's what the
Okay.
research says. Okay.
So even if your fear is they might find somebody else in this 8 week
Yes.
period. Right?
Yes. Yes. You still wait 8 weeks. If it's your person, they're not finding someone else in 8 weeks. Come on. Like, it's just, you
Fair
can't
enough.
mess up
Can I
what's
can
meant
I
for you.
throw out a little text? I'm second guessing my choice,
No.
but I need to wait 8 weeks. So can you hold tight too and we'll
Yeah.
talk?
Yeah. Yeah. Nope. Well, you could, then your 8 week starts all over again. And that's the trickiest part. It means no contact, not even like looking at their Instagram story or their Facebook
Yeah.
post, or if you like something, any kind of contact or seeing them, it starts the 8 week process over. You need a complete distance and detox from the person for a full 8 weeks. And if you break it, the 8 weeks starts over again.
All right.
But normally when I tell clients this, they're excited because they're like, oh, I can do 8 weeks. It's not like I'm
Yeah.
talking about a year. I'm talking about 8 weeks. So then after the 8 weeks is up, if you're the person that really feels like you held back, you think there is a second chance at this, and it was a healthy relationship, it wasn't toxic by any stretch of, how we've talked about before, and you really just feel like you want this person to know how you feel about them. Dr. Pat Allen talks about writing something called, she calls it a hi bye letter. I don't know why she calls it that. It's almost like, hi, I'm dropping in and see you later, bye, just to kind of give the person an opportunity to either opt in to communicating with you or not. So it's
Hmm.
basically like the completion letter, but it's sending it. And do you want me to walk through the prompts and then we can put them in the show notes?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's 5 paragraphs. The first paragraph is you write to them, you write why you're writing this letter. So you're sharing your feelings with them in case they didn't know. The second paragraph is you write everything that you loved and liked and enjoyed about the relationship or the person. They can be in either past tense or present tense. The third paragraph is the pain of losing them, the pain that you're feeling from the breakup, and kind of the conflict that you're experiencing in the moment. The fourth paragraph is writing about what you don't want to experience in your next relationship and what you do want to experience, what you don't want and what you do want. And then the last paragraph is you write about the lessons and the gifts that you've gotten from the relationship. So a lot of the research shows that when we've been broken up with, we typically, or someone breaks up with us, we think that the other person like hates us or is mad at us. Like, they broke up with me, she hates me, she never wants to talk to me again. And writing the letter is showing, no, I don't hate you. I'm not mad at you. I'm hurt. And there's a part of me that like really values our connection and wants it back. And it just gives the opportunity for the person to either step in and start a conversation about maybe exploring a reconnection, or it's a way to wipe the slate clean. And that way, you did everything you could. You did everything you could And if that person is still a no, then it's not the one for you, and you can really finally move on.
All right. I'm not mad at that.
Not mad
I
at it.
can
Okay.
I can get yeah, I can get down with that approach. That
Yeah.
makes sense. I think I want to dig into that. I think I want to do another show on just that. Like
I
how
think
to
so
get
too.
back with an ex or something,
Yeah.
and dig into what that letter looks like. What would you include in those different paragraphs and stuff? But no, I think that's good. So there's
Yeah.
two paths.
Yeah.
After a breakup, you are at a crossroads. Sometimes it makes sense to take those first 5 steps and
Yeah.
just grieve and heal and get closure and get healthy again and move on.
Yeah.
Other times it may make sense to pause, think about it, and then come back with that approach and see if maybe it made sense. And again, I think you threw a few words in during that path, like healthy,
Yes.
wasn't toxic, that kind of stuff. So if you were
Right.
in a relationship that was highly dysfunctional and toxic and had a lot of dynamics, that's not what we're talking
That's
about,
not your
because
letter. No.
that stuff didn't go away. We're talking about you just didn't maybe give what was
Mhm.
necessary for the relate. It was generally healthy, but you
Yes.
didn't fully give to the relationship, and so that's a completely where this is not a get back with the toxic ex
Correct.
pathway
Correct.
for sure.
Yeah. Exactly.
Good.
Big
Awesome.
distinction.
Yeah, no. I like that. I like that. So hopefully that was helpful to you. If you've not downloaded your free Modern Daters Playbook or Megan's text responses, grab those. And then we'll put some of those other prompts in the description area and show notes as well, so people can take a look at those. And that's all we got for now. We will see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye, everybody.